All right, page 4. Now, one of the things we're going to talk about in terms of these word problems is consecutive integer word problems. So this we're going to look at consecutive integer word problems.
Is this on the test?
No. It's on test 3.
Perfect.
And they usually have one of those on the final. All right, consecutive integer word problems. So let's talk about consecutive integers. First of all, do you remember what integers are? What are examples of integers? Negative 2, you said? Okay. What else?
3.
Positive 3.
10.
10. So no decimals, right?
Right.
No fractions.
No.
So it's basically your whole numbers. So first of all, remember your whole numbers are 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Those are your whole numbers. And then the integers are these whole numbers and their opposites. So remember how we denoted that? It'd be dot, 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 comma, and then we could say negative 3, negative 2, negative 1. What is the next one? 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on, right? So they're an infinite number of integers, just like they're an infinite number of whole numbers, an infinite number of rational numbers, and so on. Okay, so if my first number is, let's say, 8, if my first number is 8, I'm going to leave a space here. I'm going to call this the next consecutive integer. So if my first number is 8, what is the next integer? 9. You agree? Okay. So I'm going to call this the second consecutive integer. Then the third consecutive integer is what? 10. Okay? All right. So I left some space here, right here, and I should have done the same thing here, but that's fine. All right, let me ask you this. So if my first number is, and when I say number, I mean the integer. If my first integer is, let's say, 2, then what is the next consecutive even integer? 4. You agree? And then the next consecutive even integer would be what? 6. Okay? If my first number, and I mean integer, is, let's say, 5. Now 5 is what kind of number? Odd. The next consecutive odd integer is what? 7. The next consecutive odd integer is what? 9. Okay? All right, so you know what consecutive even integers are, you know what consecutive odd integers are, and you know what consecutive integers look like. All right, let's go back to consecutive integer right here. If my first one is 8, my next one's 9, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What do I need to add to 8 to get 9?
1.
Plus 1, so I added plus 1, correct? What do I need to add to 8 to get 10?
2.
Plus 2. Now don't forget, that doesn't mean 9 plus 2, that means what? 8 plus 2. Okay, so 8 plus 2 is 10. All right, so I'm going to start with the first number. So when you look at the word problems, that's where you're going to deal with that first integer. And then what do we do to that first integer to get the next ones? So my first integer here is 2. If my first integer is 2, what do I need to add to that first integer to get 4? 2. What do I need to add to that first integer to get 6? 4. Okay? 2 plus 4 is 6. If my first integer is 5, my first integer is 5. What do I need to add to 5 to get 7? 2. So I want you to notice that these numbers are the same right here. Okay? So people get confused with odd. They want to add an odd number to get the next odd number. But if my first odd number is 11, how to get my next odd number? Add what? 2. You don't add 1 or 3, right? You add what? 2. So what do I need to do to 5 to get this 9? Add 4. So what you know is that these are the same. Oops, sorry, right here. Those are the same. Okay, so each time you're going to add a 2 or a 4. The next one would be plus what? 6 and so on. Okay? All right, so that's going to be the idea here. Okay? All right, now look at that handout, page 4. So take that out. All right, so one of the things you have to do when you get to those word problems is you have to simplify expressions, just like you've been doing. So we did when you worked on that Part A worksheet, 9.4, and then when you worked on that Part B worksheet for 9.4, you notice that you have to simplify those expressions on either side. Same thing when you deal with those word problems with the integers. Okay, so let's look at number 24. So we're looking at which integers, what kind of integers? Consecutive integers. So if my first integer is x, what expression represents the next one? X plus 1. What expression represents the next one after that? X plus 2. What expression would be the next one? X plus 3. So that first, or in that second column, right here, that's x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 3. It kind of makes sense because if x is 5, then 5 plus 1 is 6, 5 plus 2 is 7, 5 plus 3 is 8. What they want you to do in the next column is this. They want you to add those integers together and simplify them. So you're going to combine like terms. Now remember, you're doing what to these things? You are adding them. So x plus x plus x is 3x, and then 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. So when you add those integers and you simplify, you combine like terms, you get 3x plus 6. All right, let's look at 26. If my first, 26, you're dealing with consecutive odd integers. If my first integer is x, just like when we did the 5. If my first odd integer is 5, what do we need to add to 5 to get the next one? 2. So if my first integer is x, what do we need to add to x to get the next one?
4.
No. Come on, guys. If my first integer is 5, what do I need to add to 5 to get the next one?
2.
Plus 2. So 5 plus 2, right? But it's not 5. What is it?
X.
It's x. So it would be x plus 2. X plus 2. So if my first integer is 5, what do we need to add to 5 to get the second one after that? Plus 4. 5 plus 4 is 9. But it's not 5, it's x. So what do we have to say? X plus 4. And the next one's what? X plus 6. So if you go back to what we did a while ago, you remember these x plus 2s. Remember this right here? Remember the plus 2, the plus 4, we said the next one would be plus what? 6. Okay? X plus 2, x plus 4, x plus 6. Then they want you, now be careful, this is what they want you to do. They want you to find the sum of the 3 consecutive odd integers. So you want to add them up. 3x plus 12? Okay. Let's look at 30.
So they want odd integers, but we put even numbers. Why?
We just talked about that. If my first integer is 5, how do I get 7?
Oh,
I say 5 plus 2, right? You're not going to say 5 plus 1. What's 5 plus 1?
oh,
6. That was the reason why we talked about this.
okay.
All right? So that's why we talked about this introduction right here to bring us to the variable x. Because you got to, and we said that regardless of whether you're dealing with odd or even, this is always going to be plus what?
Okay.
2. This is going to be plus what? 4. Plus what? 6, and so on.
Okay.
Okay? And remember, I told you, for some students, when they see odd, they want to think they have to add an odd number, but it's not true. You got to think about hypothetical examples. Suppose I have 11. What do I need to add to 11 to get the next odd integer? You're not going to say 11 plus 1. We all know from a long time ago, 11 plus 1 is 12, not 13.
I can't do that. I can't do that.
All right. Let's look at number 30. What do you think is going to happen between number 26 and number 30, those columns right here? They're going to be the same. That was our discussion a while ago, right? Right here. So my first even integer is x. What do I need to add to it to get the next one?
2,
So you say x plus 2. What about the next one?
4.
X plus 4. The next one?
X plus 6.
X plus 6. And it kind of makes sense because what if x is 10? What's 10 plus 2? 12. What's 10 plus 4? 14. What's 10 plus 6? 16. Now they want you to find the sum of those three even integers. So when you add them up, what do you get? 3x plus 12? Okay. All right, let's look at number 29. 29 is just like 26. So if the first one's x, what's the next one? X plus 2, what's the next one? X plus 4, what's the next one? All right, but this time they want you to find the sum of the second and third. So what expression represents the second? No, what expression represents the second? X plus 4. What expression represents the third? What do I want to do to those two things that I'm circling? You want to add them because it says sum, right? So what's my answer? 2x plus 10. So make sure you read what they're asking you to do. Okay? All right. Now that you know how to represent first, second, third, and so on, let's look at some word problems dealing with these. Okay, let's look at let's look at 32. 32, go to 32. All right, 32. All right, so in 32 it says this. It says the room numbers of two adjacent classrooms are two consecutive even integers. And you're told their sum is 654. And you want to find the classroom numbers. All right, so in the worksheet, it's going to be denoted like this. Remember, first of all, what are you trying to find? The two classroom numbers, right? And you know they're consecutive. Not integer, just integers are consecutive what? Even integers. All right, so this is 32. Okay, so you're going to say the first integer? And then the second integer. All right, first integer, second integer. Now, you got to remember, these are not consecutive integers, these are consecutive even integers. So you got to let x be one of them. Which one is easier to let x be? The first one. So if x is the first one, how do you represent the second one? How do you represent the second one? if my first one is 7, I'm sorry, this is even. If my first one is 8, what's the next even integer? 10. What do I need to do to 8 to get 10? Add 2. So don't make it difficult. If my first one is x, what's the next one? X plus 2. All right, so those are your unknowns. All right, then we set up the equation. What do you know about those integers?
That they equal 654.
That when I add them up, their sum is 654. So what's going to be my equation? X plus, yeah, let's write the equation out first. So x plus 2 equal 654. Now we're going to solve this equation. So let's combine like terms. What do I get?
2x plus 2.
2x plus 2 equal 654. What's the next step?
Subtract 2.
All right. And then combine like terms, I get 2x equals 652. Divide both sides by 2. And so what's x? 326. So 326. Now remember, that's x. So that means that this unknown right here is 326. And my second integer is 3 what? 326 plus 2, which is 328. Okay? 328. All right, and then we answer the question. So the question was, find the consecutive numbers, the room numbers. So you're going to say the room numbers are 326 and what? 328. So 326 and 328. All right, so that's 32. Let's look at 34. 34, it says that the code to unlock a student's combination lock happens to be 3 consecutive odd integers whose sum is 51. I'm going to find the integers. All right, so you're interested in how many integers? 3. So let's call them first integer, second integer, third integer. And then third integer. Now what kind of integers are those? Consecutive, odd. So which one are you going to let it be x? First one. So if x is my first one, how do I get the next odd integer?
X plus 2.
X plus 2 is the same as the even ones, right? And how do you get the third one?
X plus 4.
X plus 4. All right. So there's your unknowns. What's going to be the equation? And now don't combine them yet, just tell me what the equation is. So you're going to say the first integer plus the second integer plus the third integer has to add up to be what? 51. So your equation, x plus 2 plus x plus 4 has to be 51. Okay, so there's your equation. What's the next step? Combine like terms. 3x plus 6 equal 51. Next step. Okay. And what's 51 subtract 6? 45. Okay. And then divide both sides by 3. So x is 15. Once you find what x represents, then just go back over here and indicate what each of those unknowns are. So if x is 15, that means my first integer is 15. My second integer is 15 plus 2, which is 17. And my third one is 15 plus 4, which is 19. And so your sentence then would be the consecutive odd integers are, the consecutive odd integers are, and you just say 15, 17, and 19.
Would you mark off if we put the awkward combination.
That's fine. Yeah, you can do that. All right, then, let's see. Okay, so write this one down. Write this example. Okay. Find 3 consecutive integers. And by the way, so you every semester, students will, on a test or final or a worksheet, whatever it may be, they'll have something like 16, 18, 20 for something like, let's say, number 34. You know that can't be right. Why can't that be right? Because those are not odd integers. All right, so look at your answers and see if it makes any sense. Some of them will have this, 13.5. You can't have 13.5 because 13.5 is not an integer. So look at your answers and and ask yourself, can these be right? Okay. All right. Find 3 consecutive integers such that the sum of the smallest and largest is 72. All right, so find 3 consecutive integers such that the sum of the smallest and the largest is 72. All right, so what he has to find? 3 consecutive integers. So we're going to say first integer, second integer, third integer. So you can say first integer, second integer, and third integer. Okay. All right, got to fill in those blanks with expressions, though. So what are you going to let the first integer be? X. All right, now remember, these are consecutive integers. X plus 1 is the next one, and x plus 2 is the next one. Okay, good. So x plus 1, x plus 2. They're just in consecutive integers, not consecutive odd, they're not consecutive even. If it was consecutive odd or consecutive even, doesn't matter, then this one would be x plus 2, and this would be x plus 4. And the next one would be x plus 6, and there are 4 of them. All right, now let's set up the equation. All right, so she says she's going to add them all up and set it equal to 72. Is that correct? No, that's not what it says. It does not say that the sum of the 3 consecutive integers is 72. What does it say? The smallest plus the largest added together is 72. So what's the smallest of all of those? Which integer? The first integer. What's the largest of all of those? The third integer. So what's your equation? X plus 2. So remember, this right here is your smallest, right? And this is the what? Largest. And what's that sum? 72. So there's your equation. So the sum of the smallest and the largest is 72. And then solve the equation. What's the next step? Well, combine first. 2x plus 2 is 72. Subtract 2. So 2x equal 70. All right, so x is 35. And then once you find that, then you know what those 3 integers are. What's the first integer? 35. Next one? 36. 35 plus 1, right? The next one? Because 35 plus 2 is 37. And so your sentence, you can just say the three consecutive integers are, yeah,
You wouldn't just put the largest and the smallest.
that's not what it's asking. What does it say? Find three consecutive integers, okay? So the three consecutive integers are 35, 36, 37. Well, that's a good question. Because when you said the equation, all you used was the smallest and the largest. But they're asking you to find the three integers. You use just the first and the largest, though, to set up the equation. All right? Okay. That's all this is in regards to consecutive integers. You just got to know how to represent the expressions. How do you represent consecutive odd? How do you represent consecutive even? And how do you just represent consecutive integers? That's all that is. Once you know that, then you can set up these equations. Okay? All right. Now, I want you to look at number, go to number, find where that, all right, go to number 16. Number 16. All right, 16. Okay, so it says a plumber gave an estimate for the renovation of a kitchen. Her hourly pay is $27 per hour, and the plumbing parts will cost $80. Her total estimate is $404. My question is, how many hours does she expect this job to take? All right, so a plumber gave an estimate, the hourly rate, so for every hour that this plumber's working, that person gets paid how much per hour? 27. So that plumber worked 3 hours. What would you do to find out? You'd multiply that by 27. 3 times 27. Okay. But the parts cost what? $8. So you also have to add up those parts as well. All right. And then the total estimate is how much? 404. And you're asked to find how many hours does she expect to do the job. Okay, so again, just like before, you're going to let some variable represent your unknown. Some expressions represent your unknowns. How many unknowns are here? No. How many unknowns are here? Just one unknown. The number of what? Hours. That's your unknown. So you can let x equal the number of hours. That's all you need to be able to do to. All right, so let x equal the number of hours. All right, now let's read the problem and use that unknown, there's only one here, to set the equation. All right, first of all, that first part that says the hourly pay is $27 per hour. What does that 27 per hour represent in terms of an expression? What does that mean, $27 per hour? Guys, you all at some point had
every hour,
had an hourly job.
for every hour, they're gonna charge $27.
Okay, so what does that mean? If I work 5 hours, I've got to multiply that by what? 27.
27.
If I work 12 hours, I got to multiply that by 27, and so on, right? But I don't know how many hours I'm working. That's what I'm trying to find. That's what x represents. So when I say $25 per hour and x represents a number of hours, what expression does that become? 27x. All right.
Plus 8.
Now, remember, there's also that fixed cost. What is that fixed cost? $80. So not only do I have to pay this person $27 an hour, but what else do I have to pay that person? $80. So I've got to say plus what? 80. And I know that my estimate, all this added together, has to be what? So there's your equation. So 27x plus 80 has to equal 404. So that's your equation, and the rest of that is just solving for x. So subtract 80. So 27x equal 324, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, so you may need to use your calculator with this. Divide both sides by 27. What's the, is it an estimate or is it an exact number? 324 divided by 27. Is it exactly 12? All right, so it's equal to 12. All right, so x is 12. So that's what this right here represents. So the sentence then, you could say something like, the plumber will work how many hours? 12, right? 12 hours. Something like that. Plumber will work 12 hours.
On one job?
How the plumber expects it to take so
It must be a major plumbing job.
That's what I just
I mean, they do say plumbers make a lot of money. That and welders.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's look at 18. All right, so 18, a professional carpet cleaning service charges $30 plus $25.50 per hour to come to your home. Now, if your total bill from this company is $119.25 before taxes, so we're not worried about taxes here, for how many hours were you charged?
30,
Well, first of all, you got to tell me what your unknown is.
30.
You're going to say let x equal number of hours. So don't forget to put that. Don't go straight to your equation. All right, now let's write the equation. So what do you think the equation would be? All right, so you said 30x plus 25.50. Is that correct? 30x
it was just $25.50 per hour.
is $25.50 per hour. So it's 25.50x plus what? 30. Yeah. So 25.50x plus 30 equals 119.25. And so it's $25.50 per hour. And then the fixed cost is $30. You subtract, so there's your equation, then you subtract 30 from both sides. And so I get 25.50x equal 89.25. Then divide both sides by 25.50. And so I get x to, divide both sides. And so what's x? Use your calculator. So it's exactly 30.5, 3.5? Alright, so the x here represents the number of hours you were charged. So you would say I was charged 3.5 hours. Or you could say 3 hours and 30 minutes, right? They don't say 3 hours and 50 minutes. That's very common to do here.
Did you say 3.5 hours?
You can say 3.5 hours. If you want to write in hours and minutes, it would be 3 hours and 30 minutes, right? Not 50 minutes, though. All right. Okay. Okay, now, so that's all this is about. So that on My Math Lab and on the worksheet, you're going to have a problem like this, where you can see that per hour. So just know how to deal with that. It's not difficult. Just think of your own experiences. All right, now let's talk about something from high school geometry.
Oh, boy.
It's been a while, huh?
It's a long while.
Okay, so, all right. So in high school geometry, you learned these things, among many, many others. So two angles are supplementary. So two angles are supplementary if their sum is 180 degrees. No. That's not a triangle. We're just saying two angles, any two angles. We're not talking about a triangle here. Because in a triangle, the three angles add up to be what? 180. That's not what this is dealing with.
Did you say something is under 180? Does it say 180?
180 degrees.
And it's two angles.
Two angles, yes. Two angles are complementary all right, C-O-M-P-L-E. Now, it's not complement as I complimented you. That's C-O-M-P-L-I. This is complementary. Two angles are complementary if their sum is 90 degrees. So two angles are complementary if their sum is 90 degrees.
And you're going to refresh us on our memory, right? Even if we don't have one.
There you go. So if one angle is 30, if let's do the complementary. If one angle is 30 degrees, then the other one has to be what? 60. Here, if one angle is 120 for supplementary, then the other one has to be what? 60. Okay, that's the idea.
It says
Okay.
under 180. It says,
I didn't say under 180. Where do you see the word under?
I thought I heard, I can't read it. I thought you said it. So you said some is 180, not under 180. My bad.
Okay.
That makes more sense. Some is, okay.
Girl, we have to, both you and I can need, actually I need hearing aids. You need that too. If you heard the word under. All right. Okay, so let's suppose that the measure of angle A, remember the little m measure? The measure of angle A and the measure of angle B, let me write it this way, I'm sorry. Angle A and angle B are complementary. Let me write it that way. So angle A and angle B, remember the little angle symbol? Angle A and angle B are complementary. Now, you've got to remember the definition we just talked about. The complementary means that if I add them up, I get what sum? 90. Okay. All right. Let's suppose that in this diagram right here, all right, in this diagram, now remember in high school, these are represented as rays, R-A-Y-S, rays. Remember, a ray is a segment with one arrow, an end point and an arrow. It's not a line. A line has two arrows. So these are rays. All right, so let's suppose that this right here is angle A, and this is angle B. All right. And let's suppose that you're told that angle A is represented as 2x. And angle B, okay, I'm making this up, so I'm hoping it comes out okay. Angle B is x plus, let's say 40. I may have to change it to, no, that's fine. We can deal with that. X plus 40. All right. So angle A is represented as 2x, angle B is represented as x plus 40, and the question is, find the measure of angle A and the measure of angle B. So find the measure of angle A and the measure of angle B. So remember how to read this. This is read angle A and angle B are complementary. This is read the measure of angle A, meaning how many degrees is it, and the measure of angle B. How many degrees is that? All right, so I got to set up an equation.
2x plus x plus 40.
Okay, so I know that when I add up those two angles, the measure of angle A is represented as 2x. The measure of angle B is represented as x plus 40. So my equation is going to be 2x plus x plus 40 has to equal what? 90.
Combine like the
Combine like terms, I get
3x.
3x plus 40 equals 90.
40 from both sides.
Yeah, and it's not going to come out real nice, but that's okay. 3x equal 50. Okay, 3x equal 50.
Divide both sides by 3.
Divide both sides by 3.
6 and 2/3.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and write it as a mixed number. I was hoping it would come out as a whole number, but it didn't, and that's fine. So 3 into 50. If you have your calculator, you can easily find out what it is. 3 into 5 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3, right? Subtract to get 2, bring down the 0. 3 into 20 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. Remainder of what? 2. So this is 16 and what? 2/3.
We can't leave it as the 50.
Nope, because I really want you to write it as a mixed number to answer the question here. You want to write it as, you don't want to say it's 50 over 3 degrees. You want to say 16 and 2/3 degrees.
Because it sounds better.
Well, because that's the way we tend to write degrees. We write it either as a whole number or a mixed number. Okay, we don't say 8 divided by 5. We write it as a mixed number.
So if that's for x, then
That's
that's x is 16 2/3. Then how do we?
okay. So that's x, right? Okay. So then you got to find the measure of angle B now. All right. So you're gonna say this. Now, it did come out nice. If this was an integer, it would be easy to deal with. But it's not going to be easy to deal with because you're dealing with a fraction. In this case, a mixed number. We wrote it as. So the measure of angle A is represented as what expression? 2x. Okay. So I know what x is. What's x? 6 and 2/3. Now, since I'm multiplying by 2, I'm going to go ahead and leave it as this mixed number. I'm sorry, this improper fraction for right now. So this is 2 times what? 50 over 3. And what is this as a fraction? Come on, guys.
What, 16 2/3?
What's 2 times 50 divided by 3?
100.
100 over
100 over 3.
3. Now rewrite this back as a mixed number. So 3 into 10 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract, you get 1. Bring down to 0. 3 into 10, 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Remainder of what? 1. So what's the measure of angle B? I'm sorry, angle A. 33 and 1/3 degrees. Okay? All right. So the one in I think the one on My Math Lab and the one on your worksheet are whole numbers. So you should be okay. All right, remember I made this up, so we ended up with a fraction. That's okay. You got to remember how to do it fractions. Now let's find angle B. Now don't make angle B difficult, because I want you to remember something from last semester. What expression represents angle B? X plus 40. Well, if x is 16 and 2/3, then what's 16 and 2/3? 16 and 2/3 plus 40. Don't make it difficult. You can tell me that right away. What is it? 56 and 2/3. Remember when you add a mixed number and a whole number, you just take the whole number parts, add them up. 16 plus 40 is 56. It kind of makes sense because what does 16 2/3 mean? 16 and 2/3 means 16 plus what? 2/3, right? That's what this right here means. And you're adding what? 40. And remember, we can add in any order. Addition is commutative. So what's 16 plus 40? 56. And then, so we get 56 in what? 2/3. So that's why you can do that. Degrees. And so there's your answer. So as a sentence, you would say the two angles measure yeah, you say no, not 16 2/3, 33 1/3 degrees, and it's 6 2/3 degrees. And make sure it makes sense. Those two numbers have to add up to be what? 90. What's 33 and 56? 90. I'm sorry, 89, right? 89. What's 1/3 and 2/3? 1. What's 89 plus 1? 90. All right. Okay. Now, let's see.
When is this test? Is this on our test next week?
No, you got the study guide. All right. It's going to be on test 3, though. Okay. So, so that's about all we can do right now with regards to 9.4. Okay. So I'm going to give you. I gave you 9.4 part A last time. 9.4 part B. So both of those are going to be due Thursday. I'm going to give you 9.4 part C. So look at what 9.4 part C looks like. All right, look at this up here. You're not going to get it right now. You get it in the period. But part C, 1 and 2 deal with integers. Now notice this is consecutive, 4 consecutive integers. All right. So right here where it says, see number 1, I kind of wrote it out for you. So make sure you listen to this. Those people absent are not going to know what to do with number 2. Hopefully they'll look at the video, this video. See how we wrote it as, just like before in the notes a while ago, we said first integer, second integer, third integer? All right, when you go here, it says represent the unknowns, and then I said use number 1 above to see what I want. So what are you going to write down? You're going to say, good. Second integer equal blank, third integer equal blank, and fourth integer equal blank. Okay, so you're going to say first, second, third. You're going to fill in those expressions. Okay? All right. The back page is, you mean that per hour? All right. Now, number 4 is 2 angles are supplemented. Their sum is 180. We talked about that. The larger angle below measures 12 degrees less than 3 times the smaller angle. And it says let x be the smaller angle. So this is x right here. And all you got to do is represent this unknown using the fact that this is 12 degrees less than. Remember when you see the word less than, you got to reverse, right? Okay. All right. And then you're going to say the unknowns would be, the way I would write it is first angle, second angle. So the first angle will be represented as what? X, and then you, whatever that second angle is, set the equation, and you solve, and you answer the question. It's not that difficult. It's fairly simple. Okay?
Follow the rest.
Follow the rest. All right. So that's that one. Okay. Now that's on test 3. Okay. Now let's look at this.